Today our topic is methods of epidemiology. So epidemiology studies mainly divided into two: observational study and experimental study. Under observational study we are having two kind of studies: descriptive studies and analytical studies. Same here, under the experimental study we are having three divisions: so randomized control trials, field trials and community trials. So we are going to see only about the descriptive studies. What is meant by descriptive study, that only today we are going to see. So we will see here in detail about descriptive studies. This is distribution of disease in a community. We are going to see that disease, how much it is spreading in the community, with the reference of time, place and person. Mainly this word is important: time, place, person, and distributing of the disease in a community. For what we are finding this one means mainly to formulate an etiological hypothesis. So we will see what is hypothesis in later here only. Then next we will see about the steps of descriptive studies. So what are all the steps? Totally there are 6 steps in descriptive studies. So first one is defining the population to be studied. First we have to take the population. Then next is defining the disease under the study. Next we have to defining the disease. Then third one is describing the disease by time, place and person. We have to describe about that disease. Then fourth one is measurement of disease. Then fifth one is comparing with known indices, and sixth one is formulation of an etiological hypothesis. So here we will see one by one in detail with examples. Next one is defining the population under this study. So we have to defining the population. So whenever we are going to conduct one study, something we are going to do, so first we have to decide who are our target population. So first in defining the population under study, specifying the type of population under the study, we have to specify the population type. So it may be the entire population of the area or a representative sample or a group of population, like urban, in slum, only females, only adults, only children, or only industrial workers, or only pregnant mothers, etc. So we have to mention to whom we are going to take as our population for our study. So maybe you are going to take only the pregnant women, only the females, only the adult. So that is about you have to mention about clearly or define about the population under the study. Defined population is selected in terms of age, sex, religion and occupation, etc. Example, if you are going to take a female members, so that is about sex. And if you are going to take only under 5 children means that will comes under age. So same category group of people you have to take for the study. So this is about the defining the population. So you have to specify the type of population which you are going to take for your study. So this is about the first step. Next we will see about the second step, defining the disease under study. So defining the disease is very important. So according to the community level you have to define the disease. You should not define the disease effectively, means it is not useful. So epidemiologists should be able to identify both the things, those who are all having diseases and from those who are all not having the disease, that the epidemiologist should be identified. Then the diagnostic method should be simple and acceptable morally and ethically by the community. The diagnostic method also should acceptable by the community. Then diagnostic method should be easy to apply to large population. So diagnostic method also should be very simple. Then for example, I want to tell tonsillitis. So I am giving two definition and you you can understand by that definition. So first definition which has been given by WHO. So that definition is, the tonsillitis might be defined clinically as an inflammation of the tonsils caused by infection, usually with Streptococcus pyogenes. So by this definition, so we cannot understand easily. So here the critical term like Streptococcus pyogenes and inflammation and all we are using. But on the other hand, an operational definition, so which we are using instead of the WHO, we are using the another. I am telling the second definition, that is, the tonsillitis would include the presence of enlarged red tonsils with white exudate which on throat swab culture growth predominantly. So we can understand the second definition. Second definition is telling clearly, so this is the tonsillitis, the presence of enlarged and red tonsils with white exudate. So by telling the second operational definition, I can come to understand the defining the disease. So the defining the disease is very important. It should be acceptable by the community morally and ethically. That is important. Then next, third step we will see describing the distribution of disease. So with reference to time, place and person, how the disease is distributing. So first one is time, and second place, and third is person. So by asking the three questions we can come to know the distribution of the disease. First one is, when is the disease occurring? When is the disease occurring? That is time distribution. And where is it occurring? Where is it occurring means that is place distribution. And who is getting the disease? That is person distribution. So we will see in detail. Next we will see about the time distribution. Time distribution means the question when the disease is occurring. So when the disease is occurring, maybe which year or month, or how often, week, day, hour of onset, season, which season the disease is coming, maybe rainy season or winter season or summer season, and atmospheric temperature or climate. This will include. This study often gives a clue about the etiology of the disease. So by studying this time distribution, we can come to know the etiology factors, what may be the reason for that disease, or predisposing factors, that is causative agent, and so that preventive measures can be adopted. By studying this, when the disease is occurring, maybe example during the summer the chicken pox is coming. So if it is there means, so what is the reason and how we can do the preventive measures. So we can come to know by studying this time distribution. Under the time distribution, we are having three kinds of time fluctuation. First one is short-term fluctuation, second is periodic fluctuation, and third is long-term fluctuations. So we will see about the first short-term fluctuation. So what is meant by short-term fluctuation means disease suddenly appears in certain only short period, then after that the disease will disappear. Example, an epidemic disease. Coming to the next, second is periodic fluctuation. Under periodic fluctuation, we are having two trends, that is seasonal trend and cyclic trend. Example for seasonal trend is leptospirosis. So leptospirosis is seen in rainy season. So only the season period, maybe rainy or summer or any winter season, only season the disease will appear, that is called a seasonal trend. So example, in rainy season leptospirosis is more common. Coming to the cyclic trend, what is meant by cyclic trend means the disease occurs once in several days, week, month or year. Example, measles. Measles will appear only 2 to 3 years once only. So 2 to 3 years once the measles will appear. So this is about the periodic fluctuation. Next is long-term fluctuation. This means changes in the occurrence of the disease over a long period of time, several years or decades. For example, non-communicable disease, upward trend in India in last 20 years. Non-communicable disease like cardiac disease or diabetic mellitus or hypertension, these kind of diseases are present. Upward trend means this is more in India for the past 20 years. So this is long term fluctuation. So we have completed about the time distribution. Next we will see about the place distribution. In place distribution, what is our question? Where the disease is occurring. Where the disease means maybe there are lot of variation will be there, maybe national variation, rural or urban, local area or migration people. So among them and all the disease will be occur. So place may, so I have told you some of the example. National variation. National variation means maybe the disease will present all over the nation. Example, leprosy or endemic goiter, latherism. So that and these are all the some of the examples. And coming to the rural variation, rural area mein what kind of disease will be? Mainly communicable disease will be available. Example, skin infection, skin diseases and any hookworm disease. So this kind of infections will be present in the rural area. And coming to the urban area mein what kind of disease will be present? Mental illness and drug dependency or cardiac illness or cancer. This kind of disease will be present. So by seeing this kind of occurrence of disease in a different places, we can come to know about the one district, and we can also compare the one district from the another district, and also we can compare the one state from the another state. So it can also compare the occurrence of disease from one country to the another country. So this is about the place distribution. And coming to the person distribution, so to whom the disease will occur or who will getting the disease. So this means describing the distribution of a disease in a community with differences to the host characteristics. Example, age, sex, occupation, literacy level, marital status, social class, behavior and such other factors. So these are all the kind of example for the person distributions. So examples, age. So already we have seen under 5 children will get the malnourishment, and the middle aged people will suffer by the cancer, and old age people will suffer by the atherosclerosis. These are the example. And sex, coming to the sex, male person will suffer by a cardiac disease, and other hand the female person will suffer by the diabetes mellitus more. So this is about the person distribution according to the person to person how the disease is or who will getting the disease more. So measles are present more in children. So this is about the example of person distribution according to the age, gender, occupation and literacy level, marital status. Marital status may, if I want to tell one example, means for non-sister, those who are all not getting married, so they will get the chance of breast cancer. Or if the woman is got married, so she is less risk of getting the breast cancer. So these are all the example for the person distribution. Then we will see about fourth step of descriptive study. In fourth step we will measure the disease. How we will measure the disease? By measuring the mortality rate, morbidity rate and disability and so on. By calculating the mortality, morbidity and disability, we can measure the disease rate, and also preferably be available for different subgroups of the population. We can compare one group to the another group. Example, under 5 children may what is the mortality, and pregnant women may what are the morbidity rate, and disability rate what about in old age people. So like that we can measure the disease. So this is about the measurement of disease. Mainly we can measure through mortality, morbidity, disability and so on. Coming to the fifth step of descriptive study is comparing with known indices. So far we have study about the disease and collecting all the disease. So taking that disease, we will make a comparison between the population. So we have to collect all the information, and also we have to compare with the other population and subgroups of the same population. It is possible to arrive at clues of disease etiology. So by comparing the known indices, we can come to know what are all the risk factors, what may be the etiology for, what are all the causes for the disease. So we can come to know by comparing the known indices. We can also identify or define groups which are all at risk and certain disease. So we can come to know who are all risk to some particular disease. So by comparing with known indices, we can come to know. Able to formulate the hypothesis relating to the disease etiology. Then so next last we have studied what is the defining population and to whom and all disease is getting, and we have already studied about time distribution, place distribution, person distribution, and also we measure the disease by mortality, morbidity, and comparing all those things with the known indices. And at last, by studying this, we can formulate the hypothesis. So by that only we can come to know what are the etiology factors for the disease. So it can be accepted or rejected using the techniques of analytical epidemiology. So for example, cigarette smoking causes lung cancer. So cigarette smoking causes lung cancer is a incomplete hypothesis. It is not a complete one. So coming to the next line, the smoking of 30 to 40 cigarettes per day causes lung cancer in 10% of smoker after 20 years of exposure. This is the complete hypothesis. So far we have studied how the disease is spreading, how the disease we are distributing, and to whom and all the disease is occurring. So that by studying those things, we can at last formulate the hypothesis. In that, we can clearly explain that what is the causative agent and how long, if the causative agent exposed to the person means they will get disease. So that thing we can come to know. This is about the example of formulation of hypothesis. Then we will see about the uses of descriptive epidemiology. So first use is, it helps to know the magnitude of the disease in the community in terms of morbidity, mortality rates. By using this descriptive study, we can come to know the severity of disease, that is morbidity rate, how much the morbidity rate, how much the mortality rates. By using the descriptive study, we can come to know morbidity and mortality rates. And second, it helps to know the distribution of the disease with reference to time, place, and distribution. So we can come to know the distribution of disease. And third is, it helps to identify the risk groups. We can come to know. So by studying this, okay, under 5 children are risk to malnutrition, and the children are risk to get the measles. So like that we can identify the risk group. And fourth one is, it helps to formulate an etiology hypothesis. So already we have seen how to formulate an etiology hypothesis. So we can come to know about the etiology factor. Then next, it helps to plan and organize, implement curative and preventive services. By knowing the risk factors, by identifying the factors, by distribution of the disease, we can plan the program and we can plan for the preventive services. At last, it helps in doing the research also. By doing this descriptive epidemiology, we can do the research also. For more reference, you can refer Shyamala D. Manivannan textbook of community health nursing, Parke textbook of preventive and social medicine, Swarnakar K. community health nursing. Thank you.